But can you guys tell me when it's half past? Because there is a clock over there, but I might not focus. At half past, please, one of you, all of you, just raise your hands and say, shut up. It's done. And then we can move on. All right. Okay, so now we're talking about NPCs. So now you've got your plot. You've got your sentence going. Yay. You've got your sentence going. That's the website, by the way, where you can find some stuff on the channel and all the videos. Just in case you don't know, I do a YouTube channel where I talk about all this kind of stuff. There's 300 videos so far, so that should keep you going for a while. A long while, especially some of the longer videos. As you know, I like to talk. So we're talking about NPCs. Don't ignore me, right? Players ignore NPCs all the time. They see them basically as quest givers, or as XP, or as loot, or... No, that's pretty much what they see them as. I beg your pardon? Yes. Boyfriends. Girlfriends. That would be fantastic. That would be great. That would be lovely. That would be fantastic. So it means the onus is then on you as the game master to make sure that they can actually do that, and they can become that. So it's fun when it happens. Absolutely, absolutely. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that the NPCs, and in particular, something that I get asked often, is how do we make sure that the dialogue that these NPCs are giving kind of makes sense? Because so often as a game master, you're sitting there, you've described, well, there's a small little town, and the players go, okay, we're going to talk to everyone. There's the lady hanging out washing. Hi, what are you doing? And you as a game master are going, she was filling up the scene. I don't know what she's doing. She's hanging up clothing. How do I do dialogue? So a lot of people get stuck in terms of how to create dialogue for the NPCs. So that's what we're going to try and look at today, if I can go fast enough. Okay, so who are the NPCs in this picture? The dude in the background. Yes, arbitrary idiot who missed his mark on the camera, and so he's screwed up our group profile picture, right? So there's some idiot in the background who's an NPC. Who else is an NPC in this bunch here? Gandalf is an NPC. It depends on whose story you're going with, but yes, you could certainly say that. Peter Jackson made sure that he wasn't an NPC. He is more of an NPC in the book than in the films. And basically Peter Jackson went, well, he's cooler than these short asses running around who really just don't know what they're doing. So absolutely, Gandalf is a PC, he's definitely a PC in this instance. Okay, let's have a look at who the NPCs are, hopefully. Well, those are the PCs, the rest are NPCs. Because we don't really, and I'll go back, ta-da! Sam, yes, he's there, he's helping Frodo, but he doesn't really take control. He does when Frodo kind of goes all, trippy and starts blathering on about whatever, right, life's tough, blah, blah, blah. But Merry and Pippin, yeah, they lead the Battle of the Ents, but that was by accident, it wasn't planned. And they're around, but we don't really know their story. Who are they? Well, we know that they're thieves. They steal vegetables. Okay, so they're not very lofty thieves either. It's like, let's go and steal something. Yeah, vegetables. Okay, yes. That's a good point. Don't plots often seem like an accident, but usually when we're talking NPCs, we're talking about people who don't drive a plan. So players, and I can't say this with a straight face, players often have a plan. Right, yeah. Yeah, okay. So, no. So what was the problem with The Hobbit and Legolas? The movie The Hobbit and Legolas. What was the problem with that? Does anyone have a problem with Legolas being in The Hobbit? One or two or three hands. Good. Well, exactly. It's like he gets this gigantic battle sequence and there's this love romance thing going. I was like, what? That wasn't in The Hobbit? Was it even in the Silmarillion? I don't think. Was it in like Christopher Tolkien's 12 other books that he tried to milk the franchise with? I don't know, right? Exactly right, exactly right. So we started to get confused. Who was a player character, who was an NPC? If your NPCs have more screen time than your PCs, your players are watching you play with yourself. Framing, right? Okay, so those three are our PCs, if you like, and the rest are there to help them get and move along. And that's the principle that we're going to use in terms of our NPCs. They are there to help do certain things. Yes? Oh, yes, those London. Yes. What if players play like NPCs? Some players don't really like to interact. They just like to sit at the table and listen to what's going on. If you have an entire table like that, find a new table, and those players probably won't even notice. Right? So absolutely, if players are not engaging, if they're not moving forward, my advice is always to try and punch their character as hard as you possibly can to get a response out of them. So let's say the guy who was playing, let's say, Pippin, just wasn't, what are you doing? I'm doing whatever Mary's doing. Oh, okay, fine. An ant cuts your leg off. The player might go, oh, that's not fair. Well, it's like, well, that was what Pippin was doing. Right? So you can try and elicit an engagement. But yes, that's a different story altogether. Okay. Clearly we have some decisions here. Okay, the difficulty with Game of Thrones and why a lot of people kind of get a disconnect is because they go, I don't know who's a fucking PC. Everyone keeps dying. Okay? It was difficult, and it was a big threat that they faced when they were releasing the series, was because, apart from Sean Bean, who doesn't even feature here because we know he's going to die, right? That's his thing as an actor. I want to die in everything that I've ever been in. Apart from that, we go, well, who's an NPC here and who's a PC here? At the moment, we can only kind of go on who's still around as being a PC, who's motivating, who's driving, who's making decisions. So those are the PCs from that list of people. At the moment, that might change, okay? We're not entirely sure. Some of those people, I got this off of the internet, I was like, I don't even know who the person is. So there must be an NPC, right? Well, hopefully, because if they're a PC, then we don't know who they are. And they've all got different goals, and they're all trying to achieve their goals, which is supposedly what PCs are trying to do. Okay. We are NPCs. We guide the player. Now, I don't differentiate between player and player character. I don't think that a character ever makes a decision. The player makes a decision. So we guide the player through interactions with the character, all right? So they're one and the same as far as I'm concerned. So an NPC guides the players. Now, by guiding, it literally means take them from point A to point B. That's what Gollum did in The Lord of the Rings. He was a guide. Yes, there was more complex stuff that he did, but ultimately his goal was to guide the PCs from point A to point B. And that was his job, and that's what he did. So even when it didn't make sense for him to do it, he still did it, because that's what Tolkien needed him to do, as an example. We mentor the player. Who watched Highlander, the original movies that were made way back when? All right, there we go, absolutely, some fan people there. All right. What was Sean Connery's role? He was there to do what exactly, apart from my bad imitation? He was a mentor. All that he did was say, this is how you swing a sword. That's it. What's that? Remind me? That's right, absolutely. It's exactly right. A name that everyone who watched that movie will never forget. Yes, so, correct. All right, so they mentor the player. So when the players go, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, an NPC comes along and says, well, have you tried looking down the well? They're not going to take them to the well. That's the role of the guide, which is, help, help, help. Someone's fallen in the well. Let me take you there. they're going to say, well, you didn't look down the well when you went there, you morons. You need to look down the fucking well, right? So they guide, they mentor, they love. They are the fanboys of your characters. How many of you have had an NPC that when the PCs come back go, oh, you're back, oh, you're so wonderful, oh, it's so marvelous to see you back, you're amazing, can I get you something to drink, can I get you something to eat, are you tired, do you want to sit down? Those are the kinds of NPCs that you need to have to make the world feel real. Because generally, you've got heroes that are doing good things for the community by burning down the village whilst they try and get to that troll. But generally, they're trying to help, usually, right? So they love the player. So we're talking about the boyfriend, the girlfriend. These are the ones that you really should be using as a GM, because you're going to kill these ones later. All right? You are literally, you're going to abduct them first, and you're going to try and sacrifice them to the blood god, and you're going to let the PCs try and save them. But you need to have them first love the player's characters. Okay, and then NPCs oppose, obviously. I mean, that's the god, the villain, the orc, the dragon, whatever the case might be. We betray the player. You have to be careful with this one. If every single NPC betrays the players every single time, your players will just kill every single NPC they come across. So use liberally a sprinkle of betrayal. We support the player. The difference between love and support, one just loves and is a fanboy or a fangirl of the PCs and doesn't really do much apart from build up their ego. The other says, well, here's 1,000 gold for your efforts. Go and buy better equipment. Or here's a broken sword, which you can reforge, and then you can use that to slay the ultimate dragon. So they provide support. They provide something useful for the players to do. So those are really the roles of the NPCs in your world. And once you know the role of the NPC, you then can start to work out the dialogue that they're going to be having. The character who's supposed to be the mentor shouldn't be journeying with the characters. Anyone know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Right? Splinter wasn't a guide. That's the rat dude. He wasn't a guide. He didn't love the turtles. He kind of loved them. There was a sort of a father-son thing going on, right? But that's interspecies and it's weird. So he didn't really love them. Well, he kind of loved them. He didn't oppose them. He challenged them, but he didn't oppose them. He never betrayed them. He supported them to a degree, but he didn't help Donatello build the great van that they traveled around. He was just a mentor. He gave them guidance. He allowed Leonardo to discover that he should lead the group and Raphael to accept it and all those kind of wonderful things. Okay? So those are the roles that your NPC should be fulfilling within your space. Your dialogue then follows suit. How do I convey that this NPC is a support NPC? What words are they going to use when they're talking to the PC? So give me some words that a mentor might use. Teach, right? Teach. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to train you. And yes? I beg your pardon? Feel something. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you're watching films, you will find that there is always a mentor. What happens to that mentor 9 times out of 10? They die. Yes, of course they do, because we are GMs and we want to kill them so that the players go, oh, okay, I'm going on that quest. And we go, yep, you are. We know you are. Because we killed the mentor. We put the mentor there to kill the mentor and to make sure that you don't do stupid stuff. Okay? Does the guide get killed? Well, no one cares, because really they're just a bus driver. They get you from point A to point B. No one cares about the bus driver. The love, the supporter, yes, we're going to abduct, we're going to kill because we can, and that makes the players feel bad. So they're going to go and try and help them, usually. Sometimes you get players who go, oh, my pet dog just died. Oh, I eat it. Right? So that will happen, but brace yourselves, because it's players, and that's what players do. Okay, we're not there to fill space. Every NPC whether they are walking into a spaceport that contains 1 million different species or not, should have a role within your space. That does not mean that you need to go home now and write out Encyclopedia Britannica of NPCs. You don't have to do that. If you remember the roles that the NPCs are going to play, whether the characters walk up to the 6-armed alien or they walk up to the 2-armed alien, if you go, right, this alien is going to be a guide for my players. They walk up to that 6-armed alien, the alien goes, I can take you to wherever. That's all that that alien is going to do. You didn't have to create an entire backstory. You now know its goal, so you know what dialogue it's going to say, you know what its function is within your narrative. The next one they walk up to is going to just be a gushy fangirl, or they look the player up and down and go, I'll sleep with you for nothing, right? It builds the ego of the player because their character is being looked at by these aliens. So whatever the function is, once you know their function, you then can use them. Okay, it's modern art, right? Yes. Yes, so absolutely. So the question is, can NPCs fulfill more than one role? I generally try to have them fill one role. They can change from, as you say, from a guide to a lover or from a guide to a mentor, but generally if you keep them separate, again, it's about keeping it simple. The more you complicate it, the less likely your players are to pick up on it. So absolutely, if it's a fan girl or boy or whatever we want to call them, a lover, and the PCs go and rescue them, they could become a mentor later on. But then the lover role takes a back seat. So they become a husband and wife, they're no longer going to talk to each other, you know, all that kind of wonderful stuff. So, all right, so what is the story of that NPC? Guide. Which one? That one, yes. That one is the guide. Okay? If you don't give your players anything to work with, that's what they're going to see. Now, unless you have a very strange fetish, and I'm not judging you if you do, none of those are particularly appealing. So I don't really want to interact with them. If we do that, okay. Then we get some cold water. Now suddenly these same NPCs, now there's a story behind them, and they have a function. So this one at the front, this very first one here, this ugly bastard who probably should put a bag on his head. What is his role as an NPC? Possibly. Betray. Right, absolutely. The handsome prince betrays the party at a specific time. He could also be, of course, a lover. He could be a guide. He could be a mentor, perhaps. Mentor? Maybe. I don't know. He doesn't say mentor to me. What about the bloke next to him? Who's he, or what is he? Quest giver? Right? He doesn't have a question mark above his head, but yes, he could be a quest giver. Could be the villain. I seek the crown of my brother. I have it. Ha-ha. Right? I beg your pardon? He could be a supporter, absolutely. I am a rich noble, and I have decided that these PCs, who I have nothing to do with, are going to now save my kingdom because they came to the front door. Okay? And then we can move through. I'm now very, very conscious of the time. And then we can move through until the very last bloke. What is he? Oh, it could be the mentor. That's right. That's right. This is how you hold a bow, or something along those lines. So, absolutely. Let's move on. Okay, fodder versus plotter. As far as my brain is concerned, I like to break things into little groups so that I can then work with them in an easier way. So when I look at NPCs, I look at them as from two different perspectives. Are they going to be a plotter? Are they going to be around for a long time? Or are they just there to die? Because, well, sorry, that's their lot in life. If they're just there to die, I don't really give them a huge amount of time in my thought processes. They might be people that the players randomly meet, and they meet them once and then they're going to move on and then they're going to come back. There's no point in spending hours writing out the NPC's backstory and motivation and what their relationship is like with their father, and you don't need to do that. But if they're a plotter, it makes sense to take a step further and to answer some of those questions, but again, not to answer all of those questions. Okay, so both need rough descriptions. Okay, so here is a whole bunch of fodders. We don't know who they are, they're not important, they're going to die, we really don't care. Same thing, there's obviously a PC in the front who's kissing someone's hand, but the background, don't care. They are fodder. We keep going. It's now the same Ferengi that we keep seeing. Does anyone know what the Ferengi is? Any Star Trek fans? Quark, I'm hearing. So there's 2 Star Trek fans. Yay. Okay. All right. And then we've just got filler in the background. And now we see them in close-up. So that is clearly, those are our plotter NPCs. And then the crowd is just our NPC, our fodder NPCs. The entire crowd could die and no one would care. What was interesting about this series was in the very top picture, you can see there's a portrait of this very strange looking sort of brownish head. That was an NPC that they put into the show as just this weird alien. But the fans responded to that alien so well that the show writers, the GMs, started to give him much more of a role. So he evolved from just being fodder to actually eventually being a very important plotter NPC. And he actually eventually got his own episodes as well. So they can move from one place to another. Where are we going with this? Okay. So a fodder NPC, you just answer those questions and you're done. You go no further. There's nothing there about mother relationships. There's nothing there about anything else. You give them a goal, and that goal could be to go shopping, to hang up the washing. You give them a job. Again, hanging up washing could be their job. Their goal is to do it as quickly as they possibly can so they can go off and smoke a cigarette round the back. You give them a use, mentor, guide, etc., etc., etc. Because mentors can be just once off, where they give the party a clue to move on and move away. You give them a quirk, so they have a funny accent, they walk funny, they have 7 arms, they're blue, however you want to do it, so that they have a little bit of character to them. And then you give them equipment because, well, we all like to steal dead people's stuff. Okay? That's all you need for fodder. So I'm going to skip through all these as I sort of break it down. Okay? Now, by filling in these things, so here we've got an idea, it allows you to create dialogue on the fly. Because people are going to talk about their job, they're going to talk about their goal, they're going to talk about what they want to do later on, they might talk about their equipment. So that's the kind of stuff they're going to talk about. And that you can talk about as improv dialogue. Okay? Give them information. That's primarily their use. Where are we going now? Okay, quirk, like I said, stutters, creates immersion, it makes your world feel unique. And of course, equipment, they need to have the equipment that happens. I hate computer games where the creature is using this amazing armor and sword, it dies, and then you pick up 3 copper pieces from the corpses. Hey, that's not fair, right? So you be fair to your players. Okay, so you talk about the goal, talk about the job, talk about the quirk. An arrow to the knee has become a meme, right? That was a quirk. That's now, it's just gone crazy, right? Okay, so this was supposed to be an interactive exercise, but I see that we're running out of time, where we talked about what would his quirk be? Let's just do it quickly. Right, lovely. So he's going to just be doing this all the time. So you see an NPC standing shaking his hand, looking a little bit worried. If the players go up to him and say, "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Can I take your crown?" "No." "Can you give me a hand?" "No." Great, so that's fantastic. And what a wonderful NPC that would be. Because they can come back to town. Are you back? Right? Lovely, 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 lovely. What about her? What's her job? Hunter? Could be. Could be a hunter. Any other options? She's an actress who only gets cast as hunter parts. Sure. Soldier. Okay. So there could be a whole lot of things. If she is, let's say, yes, there's a question right at the back. Thank you very much. All right. So, okay, we'll move on quickly. Let me see how many slides there still go. 29. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So, yes, if she is a hunter, what is she going to talk about? Yes. Okay, you have been awake. Okay, yes, she's going to talk about hunting. What about hunting? Absolutely, the track, her last catch, the fact she hasn't caught anything. Maybe the PCs then go, you haven't caught anything? Really? The forest has got no animals in it? Right, we're going to the forest. Because clearly there's something happening in the forest. And you're going, I was just talking about her not catching anything because she's a bad hunter. Okay, there's a quest in the forest now. All right, off we go. Great, lovely. I was planning that all along. Okay, and we already know that he's a mentor. He's got his equipment. He's a bit raggedy, isn't he? Anyway, that's something that we're going to... Sorry? He could be a bit undead, actually. I'll write him and say, someone thinks that you look dead. Okay. Plotters get a little bit more. They get 3 more things. They get a desire, they get a fear, and they become likable. Or should be likable. And I'm going to skip straight to likable because desire, what is desire? It is that which we crave. What is fear? It is that which we fear. And phobias are fantastic. I have a phobia of snakes. Okay, I grew up in South Africa where most of the snakes will kill you. You know, they're very, very, very dangerous. I've never had an encounter. Well, I've had encounters with snakes, but they've never bitten me. But put a snake anywhere near me, I turn to jelly, more so than I normally am, and then someone has to drag my corpse away whilst I cry quietly. It's a phobia. I don't know why I have it. I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to go through therapy. Thank you very much. I've kind of tried that. It didn't work. And snakes are dangerous. So it's a healthy fear, right? And they are also plotting to one day get me. I know this. So fear creates a story for your NPCs that they can talk about. It's so easy to create dialogue once you've got this stuff. Likability is where we're going to try and get to as fast as we can. Blah, 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 makes them real or, just seem crazy. Likability, okay. So we need to like them or we need to understand why we don't like them. And this is the, I thought, interesting part. Because you can apply it to yourself and go, oh, that's why I don't have any friends. Shit, okay. Time to change. What makes someone likable? Someone at the back. An attribute, something. What makes someone likable? They're social. They're funny. A bit there. Attractive, okay. They're not mean, they're nice. Yeah? They have an accent. They have an accent that makes them likable. Or not likable because it's like, I can't understand what the fuck you're saying. I just don't get it. I don't like you. Go away. Right? It could be. All right? Yeah? You like people who are less intelligent than you. Absolutely. You're completely right because it makes you look better, right? So you're who are his friends? Who are your friends, by the way? Right? Yes. They're interested in other people. Ah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Who's he? Emmett Brown. Wow, that's nice and specific. From Back to the Future movies. Okay. Is he likable? Is he sexy? Does he have an accent? Kinda. Is he less intelligent than everyone around him? No? Okay, let's try someone else. They both have the same hair. Right? He can smile, so he's nice. That classifies as something that we were talking about. Okay? What do they both have in common? They're memorable, absolutely, correct. They're male, okay, sure. Oh, loyal. They're loyal. Now that's interesting. They are loyal. Anything else? They're funny, absolutely. One line of dialogue, crazy, okay, sure. Beg your pardon? They're different from the norm, absolutely. Anyone who's brave enough to wear their hair like that? In both pictures? Who's he? Spider-Man's sidekick in Spider-Man Homecoming? Why do we like him? Because if we were trapped in an ice cave with him, he'd provide us with food for a long time? No? I beg your pardon? He cares about Spider-Man? What else? Aha! There's the point that I've been fishing for. Is that all three of these are competent. They all can actually do their job. Chewie never really fails. He's always fixing the Millennium Falcon. Han Solo is the one who's always screwing up. Chewie is never the one going brrr, and then pushing the lever forward and the Millennium Falcon not moving. Chewie's sitting there going brrr, and Han Solo's going, all right. So Chewie is competent. He fixes stuff, he does stuff, he kills things as the movies evolve and stuff. Emmett Brown, he's competent. He actually invents time travel and then happens to fix it in the 1890s, which seems impossible, right? Yes? Well, they can do stuff the PCs can't do, necessarily. And yes, they can sometimes be smarter than PCs, because let's face it, the PCs are a committee, because they collectively try and decide stuff, and we all know how effective committees are. Exactly. They are a tool that the PCs are going to use to solve their problem and to get better, okay? And I'm definitely running out of time here, so let's rush forward. These are what make you likable. And yes, I used likable to describe what makes you likable. Because it is an intangible thing. It could be an accent. It could be that they're funny. It could be that they are just nice to have around. Okay? It could be that they're absolutely loyal. But those are generally considered the three components that cause us to like someone. So you can have someone who is absolutely competent, but is not likable and is not proactive, but the PCs will still like them. They're grumpy, they grumble, they complain, but they get the job done. So the PCs will like them. You can have the funny guy who just makes jokes all the time. He's just likable. We like him because he's likable, right? He's supportive, he's helpful. And then we have the proactive one who's trying to make sure that things happen, that things move forward. It's when they don't have one of those values that we start to not like them. If they have two of those values, then they're really likable. All right, so they can do stuff well, likable, funny, caring, compassionate, supportive, loving. Those things make you likable. Again, hopefully you're reflecting on your own life, running through this stuff. Okay, proactive, they do stuff on their own for player benefits. So the players go off to hunt the mysterious thing in the forest that is keeping all of the animals away. Not that the hunter is useless. They find a quest because you gave them one because you had to. They come back, and a proactive NPC has fixed their armor or has built a new wagon for them that has 6 wheels and can go up mountains. The players are going to love that character, which means that it's going to be so much better when you kill the character, right? You kill the NPC, the players are going to go, ow, but he did the thing, we want, yeah, all right. So, again, NPCs are there, and I hate to say it, but it is there for you as the game master or the author or whatever to manipulate your players into doing what you want them to do. And you do that by generally killing off or abducting the people that you have set up for them to actually like. So you need to understand how to make them likable, and that's this way, using these kinds of ideas. All right, so He was competent, right? He managed to pull off a whole bunch of stuff. Was he likable? Was he compassionate? No, he wasn't. Was he proactive? You liked him. Okay. All right. Well, you know, it takes all sorts. Was he proactive? He was a villain. Of course he was proactive. So that's why, generally, Heath Ledger's Joker is considered to be one of the best, because he was very good at being bad. Right? All right. Anyway, so I've got a whole bunch of other examples. Him, was he competent? Well, you say no, but he did build a moon base. He did build a giant laser that was going to core to the center of the planet. So his technicians were competent at the very least. He was not necessarily very competent. Was he likable? Did he care for anyone? His son and his cat and Mini-Me, absolutely. So right? Okay, yeah, so he's a nice guy, okay, right? Yes, of course, right? Absolutely, voted one of the greatest villains of all time. But he was competent? Yeah, actually, was he? Really? Not in the movies, right? Was he proactive? He got shit done, right? I mean, he killed the emperor in the end. Was he likable? He cared for his son. He wanted to bond with his son, so maybe that's a good thing. All right. Did anyone really care about Voldemort? Did anyone ever kind of go, oh, it's Voldemort, what's going to happen? No, we didn't, because Harry was going to beat him. And I'm afraid if you are an adult man who's had too much plastic surgery, and you're going to get beaten by a little spotty 14-year-old, you're not really that good at being bad. I mean, let's be honest, right? The problem that we have here is that, I don't know about you, but I was sitting there going, wait a minute, he's the good guy. He's saving the entire universe. So there's a challenge there, isn't there? And another film, The Watchmen, plays entirely on that, and at the end of it you go, I feel betrayed because I was voting for the wrong team, because I was supposed to, right? So try and keep the lines clear. Make your bad guys bad. You can make them likable, but they still are bad. Make the rest of your NPCs work for you. All right. I think that's... Oh, wait. I do have to just do this because I'm on a crusade, okay? That's what we were promised. All right. Do we have time for questions, or is it done? No, we don't have time for questions, or no, it's not done? Yes. Okay. All right. So is there any pressing question? I don't think there's any pressing question. If not, I'll be hovering around a little bit. Come and say hello. I don't bite unless you ask. And yes, enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you very much.